everyone, Miss GoElectric here, and today I have the Propella 9S Pro to test out on this beautiful Michigan fall day. Now you may have already seen my review on the 7S, which is essentially the little brother to this bike. There's a 4-pound difference between the 7S and the 9S Pro I have here, and although that doesn't sound like much, 4 pounds is a pretty big difference. So let's talk about what the differences between those bikes are and how this really fits into the mix of a city commuter bike. I'll start off by covering the features and specs, and then I'm going to take it out on the streets to really test it out.
The box arrived in good shape and was about the size of a 55-inch LCD TV box. Inside, the bike was well packaged. There were some minor scuffs on the fender, but we rarely see a bike arrive in absolutely perfect condition. Propella does include a user manual, and just like with the 7S, right on the cover they highly recommend having a professional bike shop assemble the bike. It took us about 40 minutes to go from this to a fully operational, smoothly shifting, rideable bike.
First and foremost, this is called the 9S Pro. 9S meaning that it has 9 speeds, and then the Pro means it's the larger battery option. This one in particular is a 36 volt, 10 amp hour battery, so 360 watt hours. Keep in mind this is a class 1 e-bike, so it only has pedal assist modes. There is no throttle. This bike can travel up to 20 miles per hour, so having 9 speeds for the gear set is going to be interesting to test out because it's limited with its top speed. Similar to the 7S, the 9S Pro has this matte finish that makes it a very simple and sleek design. It has a bigger battery, and I think that this looks very similar to a water bottle, so although it is not integrated into the frame like I typically like, I think the design of it is nice for an exterior mounted battery. As I said in my review of the 7S, I think it would be great if Propella included some additional value adds to this battery, whether that be a screw-on top speaker or a USB port. That would really entice more people to buy an extra battery and make it more usable. Even though the Pro battery is a little heavier than the standard battery, I still think it's really lightweight and probably worth buying an extra one because they're relatively affordable and that will extend your range. The welds here aren't particularly buffed out, so they are pretty crude, but overall, for this price point, for what this bike can do, I think that's okay. One thing that I pointed out in the 7S review as well was the fact that this cable is running alongside the center tube. And I would prefer to see more integration into the frame, and you can kind of tell that they started to do that with some of the cables that run down this lower tube where the battery is and out the back here, but I wish they would have done the same up top. Because when I lift this up to put it on a bike rack, I do have to be very careful about those cables. Generally speaking, I would like to see a little bit better cable management on this bike. Continuing on the aesthetic, I think that the blue accents, not only on the saddle, but on the ends of the grips, is really beautiful. And I wish they would have included the bright blue rims on this bike, just like the rest of them in their lineup. The Propella 9S Pro does not include fenders, a rear rack, or integrated lights for this price point. You do have to pay extra to get those added on. And I think, as you probably heard me say before in my other e-bike reviews, those should be essentials included on the bike. The 9S Pro has a hex bolt right at the seat post in order to adjust it and secure it. And that's because if you have a quick release in a city environment, they tend to have the seat post stolen on occasion. So this really gives you that security that you would need an extra tool in order to remove that or adjust the seat. This bike has an aluminum frame and it weighs 41 pounds, so it's pretty easy to lift up if I need to put it up on a bike rack. The rear hub motor is made by Vinca and it's 350 watts continuous and 500 watts peak. A pleasant surprise would be the hydraulic brakes up front. So these are going to give us much better stopping power and probably a more consistent stopping power as well. The tires you see here are 27.5 by 2 inches wide, which is a wider tread than the 7S model. And this gives me the capability to not only take it out on the street, but probably on a light packed gravel trail as well. Now that we've touched on a lot of the differences and features this bike has to offer, I'm ready to take it out on the road and test it out. All right, I'm gonna start off my ride in manpower mode, no pedal assist, and we're gonna see how this bike feels. Right now I can already tell you that it feels lightweight enough and there is very little effort for me to pedal. I am in a low shift point, but something to note because if you run out of battery, you want to be able to easily ride this bike back. And this gives you the option and flexibility to be able to turn on the assist when you want it and still be flexible with the amount of workout that you want to put in, how much exercise you really want. Now let's put it up to pedal assist 1. All right, a little bit of a motor output here. You'll notice that I'm up over that like 10 mile per hour point and I have 0 power coming out of that motor, so it does stop assisting at about 10 miles per hour, I think. All right, so off the line, a good push of power, very smooth. It doesn't take long for that cadence sensor to kick in, but as you can see again, the motor is not on, I don't hear it at all, and there's no output showing on my screen. So I do feel like I'm putting in some work at 14 miles per hour. Let's take it up to pedal assist 2. And I'll drop it down because I believe that it'll give me power maybe from 10 to, yep, there we go, to about 13, just shy of 14 miles per hour. Pedal assist 2 will give me that assist. Now the power output doesn't feel different. It still is the same amount of assist. It just cuts off at about 14 miles per hour. Let's take it up to pedal assist 3. All right. Again, same amount of power, and it looks like it cuts off just about 16 miles per hour in pedal assist 3. Shifting is nice and smooth now that I've tinkered with it quite a bit. Let's go to pedal assist 4. There we go. Now that does feel like a little bit more assist. And let's see how quick I can get up to speed in this mode. Still giving me power even at 19 miles per hour. See if we can get up to 20. That seems like it's gonna be the cutoff point. 5, pedal assist 5, we are getting just slightly a bit more power here. But as you can see, as I'm hitting close to 20 miles per hour, it's not giving me all too much extra assist. But I still have some gears to go, so I know I could go a little quicker than this. I'm just gonna have to do the work myself. So as you can see, I'm up to 20 miles per hour now in pedal assist 5. I think this is well suited for people that are looking to get an electric bike, but they really want to stay true to the core purpose of riding a bike, and that's to get a workout. Unless you wanted to just ride on pedal assist 5 all the time. But at this point, I'm still putting in a lot of work to continue on this path. Whereas some of my other e-bikes, they almost feel like a moped, and it's doing all the work for me if I want to. So these bumps, very rigid. Yeah, I would definitely opt for a different saddle and likely a suspension seat post. The grips feel really comfortable here as well. I like this paddle shape on the end, and it's a flexible material with a nice rubberized texture. So they're comfortable, and I don't feel like they'll slip if I'm riding on a summer day and my hands get sweaty. And I like the fact that on the computer you can see here how much power it's delivering, how fast I'm going, the percentage of battery I have left, my max miles per hour, the pedal assist mode, and my trip reader. I can move through those different menus too to give average miles per hour, how long I've been riding, the odometer. So I like that option. As you can see, this is performing pretty well on this light gravel path. It's very packed down. No sliding around. This is probably as aggressive of a gravel path I would want to take it on, though. I wouldn't want to take it on anything worse. The Vinca motor on this is 500 watts peak and 350 watts continuous. And I find it's plenty of power for a bike of this weight, but more importantly, it's quiet. And it doesn't even look like an e-bike. That's one added benefit as well. It's a very sleek and simple design. This looks like I have a water bottle on the frame. Test out these hydraulic brakes on this downhill up at the stop sign. I'm gonna slam on the brakes. Definitely some skid, but that wide tread made me feel very safe. That is some great stopping power. I didn't even have to pull back very hard. Let's see if I can take this in town. Now this is what this bike is made for, a very city style commuting environment. And on this street it's about a 30 mile per hour limit, and this can go 20, so.
In Pedal Assist 5, I had no trouble getting up to 20 miles per hour quickly, but it does take a bit of effort to keep up with city traffic. It felt to me like 28 miles per hour was about as quick as I could move my legs on flat ground based on the maximum gear ratio. Some city bikes feel delicate or precarious because of the lightness and narrow tires. The 9S felt planted and sturdy. It is solid but plenty responsive. Gravel bikes and of course fat tire bikes are nowhere near as nimble as a bike like the 9S Pro. This is one of the quietest and smoothest operating e-bikes I've reviewed, and it absolutely feels more premium than its price tag would suggest.
Now that I've ridden around on the Propella 9S Pro, there are some things I want to point out that I enjoy about this bike, and then things that I'd like to see changed. First, let's start off with those things that I like. And one of the main things is the design. I think it's very sleek, modern, simple, and it really doesn't even look like an e-bike at first glance. I appreciate the stealthiness. The next thing is, usually I don't like a battery that's mounted to the exterior of the frame. I tend to like an integrated design, but this looks very much like a water bottle, and the battery itself is easy to remove and lightweight, so I could see myself getting an extra one for an affordable price and just taking it along with me to double my range. Next is the high quality components. starting off with the 9-speed Shimano Altis shifter and derailleur. I talked about this in my 7S review, where I felt like 9 speeds would definitely be helpful to go faster speeds, and this really does that. I also like the fact that it has hydraulic brakes, so really great stopping power. The tires up front are CST and they're a wider tread. I appreciate a wider tread because it gives me a little bit better stability, and these have a nice groove pattern on them. The tread itself could even be taken on a light gravel packed path. This Finca motor has 50% more power than the 7S, and you can really tell. I feel like this bike has great power considering how lightweight it is. It's only 41 pounds and it seems sufficient. I know handlebar grips are swappable, but the ones that come with this bike are nice and flexible and have that added paddle feel on the end, so it's really comfortable for my hands while I'm riding for longer periods of time. And they're nice rubberized texture material, so they're not gonna slip if they get sweaty. I like these fenders and how full coverage they are, but one thing I don't like is the fact that they're an option and they don't come included with the bike. And that brings me to more improvements that I'd like to see. Not only are the fenders not included, but there's no integrated light system or racks at all. And at this price point, I think that is something that should be expected. Now, while we're talking about improvements, the other thing I'd like to point out is the fact that this didn't really come set up well as far as the shifting goes. It needed a lot of work, and there are bikes that I've had to review that come out of the box nice and set up, and I don't have to worry too much about tinkering with it, but this one was quite a bit of work. And I will say Propella does suggest that you should take it into a bike shop, but that adds extra dollars and a time investment. As I mentioned in the ride review, not only with this bike, but also in the 7S, this saddle isn't my style or taste. I like something that's a little bit more comfortable and wider. I do understand that's a personal preference, but this is something that I would change, and I would probably even opt for a suspension seat post, considering this does not have any suspension at all. The last remark that I want to make about improvements is in regards to the power delivery. My other e-bikes that I'm used to riding have a pedal assist where I'm in a lower pedal assist mode, say like 1 for example, and it gives me a little bit amount of power and help in that mode, whereas in pedal assist 5, it gives me more access to that power and I feel like I have a lot of help. This bike does it in a sense where I'm in pedal assist mode number 1 and it only goes up to a certain miles per hour and then the motor cuts off. It's not something that I'm used to, but I feel like if I was to ride this bike on a regular basis, I'd probably ride it in pedal assist 5 continuously, so I know I'd have access to the power up to the top speed. Overall, the Propella 9S Pro is a great looking bike, and I appreciate having those 2 extra speeds over the 7S. If you're interested in learning more about this bike or want to purchase one, please use the link in the description below. Propella may help support the Miss GoElectric channel if they find we're helping their customers find the right bike for them. Well, thank you so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Until next time, drive, fly, ride. Go electric.